What is up? If you're watching this, that means you got another day. It's a great day in Los Angeles today, guys. I'm having such a good day. Something really cool just happened, and you're gonna find out on the channel soon what it is. It involves this guy, and that's actually who we're talking about today. I take a lot of flack because of the car that I drive. Go figure. Look at the paint scheme. Look at the license plate. Look at the fact that it's a V6. Take a lot of hate, but you know what? I'm gonna explain why this is the best possible car that I could have owned.
It's about that time again.
Story time with this car. I had just moved to Los Angeles. It was end of 2018. I was living off of savings. I had just gotten out of the Air Force. I had somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 saved in my bank account. Rent for this place, with utilities included, everything else, is about $1,500 give or take a month. So doing the math, you can tell that I wasn't gonna last very long without a job. Now, I knew I had a little bit of time to try to figure out what I wanted to do in LA. Now, keep in mind, this is the first time in my life that I could actually pick a direction because I've been in the Air Force for the last several years. Decided to help a friend out with his studio, get his studio off the ground. Now, that was a great plan right up until I crashed my car. I told him that I had about a month left to try to get the studio profitable. Then I would have to kind of find another job so I could moonlight the studio as like a side hustle. And this was around the time when Gary Vee actually gave me some advice on how to maintain the studio and get it profitable, but at the same time, do a day job. And I will link that video in the description below if you're a fan of Gary Vee.
Can you afford to make that jump right now to go full time? And if you can't, I think the biggest question is, you know, what are your expenses and can you do anything about them, right?
I was driving my Mustang up to Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is where I was ironically just last week for this year's active duty commitment. I was taking the Stradman up there so that he could vlog a rocket launch that SpaceX was doing. It was a 2013 V6, very similar to this one. It was black with blue stripes, and it was my first car. I drove it all the way through college and all the way through my Air Force career and brought it here to Los Angeles. I didn't have any build plans for it. It was kind of where I wanted it to be. I liked the car. So I took it up to Vandenberg Air Force Base. We watched the launch, which got scrubbed with 1 second to go. That's why you never saw it on the Stradman's page. On our drive back off the base, we were way out in the middle of nowhere and I was on a dirt road. On that dirt road, I hit a pothole that was pretty significant in size. Probably hit the pothole only going like 5 or 10 miles an hour, but it was enough to irritate the bolts on the back left tire. We didn't know what was going on because I knew there was some impact there, but you know, I've hit potholes before. I live in Los Angeles. The car was making a weird noise, and me and the guy that I was with, one of my friends, Matt, and then Stradman all got out of the car, inspected it. Nothing was wrong with the integrity of the wheel. Nothing was, you know, leaking. There wasn't any air coming out. Shred looked fine. Like everything checked out, but it was making a weird noise and we didn't know what it was. Drove back from Vandenberg Air Force Base to Beverly Hills. On that trip back, the noise got louder and more prevalent, and the drivability of this car that I had been in now for 6 years just seemed a little off. We made it all the way to Beverly Hills, which is about 130 miles-ish from Vandenberg. What we didn't know what was happening the entire time we were driving is that the lug nuts here on the back of the car had been pulled out. Of course, it was on a different car. They had been pulled out and stripped a little bit of the threads, so they were slowly working their way off, which means that the wheel was getting more and more loose the more that we drove. After I dropped the Stradman off, I had my friend Matt riding shotgun, and I said, dude, I'm not gonna take the freeways back. The rest of the way from Beverly Hills to my home in Hollywood, it just didn't seem safe. We were taking side roads, maybe a mile into the side roads. After deciding that it was not a good idea to be on the freeway, the wheel popped off of the car, took the exhaust and the back bumper with it. The wheel went past me. I was driving and it went past my driver's side window, past the car, and I knew we were in trouble. I slowly drifted the car off to the side. This was on Ventura Boulevard, and there's still scrapes on the ground to this day where my axle drove on the pavement and I had to get it towed. At this point, I had zero income. I was really, really scared, and at first I was just happy that everybody was okay, because if that had happened on the freeway, it would have been a different story for all of us. So the car got towed and I was without a car for about 2 weeks. My insurance covered a rental, which I was using to get to background acting so that I can pull in $100-ish every now and then to hopefully build up enough money to make 1 more month of rent if I kept doing that. On my second ever background acting gig, I got a call from my insurance that basically said, the car is being totaled. I have no idea how much money it's going to be worth on salvage. You're basically never gonna go get your car back. And that's when I hit the floor. I was in a parking lot on my way to set. I hit the floor on my knees and I was dressed in a suit because I was supposed to look like a detective for this TV show that we were gonna do. And I just started to cry and I didn't know what to do because like this was, you know, my dream was to be in LA. I only had maybe $1,000 left at this point in my bank account when the car got totaled. I knew I wouldn't be able to buy a new one. So it was really gonna be dependent on, first of all, how much money do I get from insurance and then what kind of job can I get basically immediately. And I was really scared because, you know, the Mustang is kind of part of my identity, and to not have one, I felt like I lost someone that I cared about. And there was too many question marks. I just didn't know what was gonna happen. That was my breaking point for sure. And I remember I called some friends to try to, you know, get just my bearings on like where, you know, what direction I should take this and what solutions, things that I could handle right then, because we still didn't know how much I was gonna get for the car. So kind of last second, the guy that was riding shotgun, Matt, said, hey, I work for this company. I can get you a sales job there pretty quickly. Send in your resume. We'll see what we can do. I ended up working for that company for the next 6 months. It made ends meet for that period of time. Once I knew that I had the job, around the week of Christmas, I shopped for cars online and I didn't even know what I could shop for. Am I shopping for a $3,000 car? Am I shopping for a $15,000 car? I didn't know. Insurance called me back and said the valuation of your car is about $12,000, I think $500 is what it was worth, which was a blessing because I was like, I can get a car for $12,000. I can do this. It was so much more than I was expecting. The market value of the car, I think, was barely 12 at that. So to get that much from insurance was just the biggest relief ever. So what I did was I took what little money I had left in my bank account, added it into the insurance policy, and had my parents float me like $4,000 or $5,000 that I actually paid back within 90 days of the new job, because I don't want to take money from my parents. I want to be able to do all this on my own. And I went and bought this, the 2014 Roush RS. Now everybody sees this and they're like, oh, it's a Roush, what stage is it? And I have to disappoint them by telling them it's all cosmetic. There is not a V8 engine in there. It doesn't have a supercharger, and then they just basically blow me off, which is disappointing because most of the people that are annoyed by my car drive cars that are like commuter cars. You know, basically something similar or slower, which is fine. Everybody has their own builds, but don't come to me and hate on my automatic V6 Mustang if you're driving a basic silver commuter car. It is a true Roush. It comes from the Roush factory. Look it up. They make the RS and it is purely cosmetic. This particular one has plenty of performance bolt-ons now. We're basically full bolt-on with some really cool plans coming in the future. It was something unique. It was a Roush. It was at a price way lower than it should have been because the blue book value of this car with the miles that it had at the time should have been over the 20,000 mark, but the Honda dealership I picked it up from just got it on trade-in, had no idea what a Roush was, and just priced it as a silver V6 Mustang, which means that it was about $15,000, 20,000 miles or so, I think is what it's on it. It has about 40,000 now. Why did I buy this car? Because this was the only car that I could afford 100% with my own money. It wasn't bought on credit, it wasn't financed, it wasn't on loan, it wasn't a company card, it's 100% mine. That's like kind of the biggest value that I have as somebody that's trying to make things work in LA, is that if I do this, because I'm confident enough that it's only a matter of time before this channel takes off. I really believe in you guys, and you guys have really helped push the channel and share with people, so I know it's gonna work. I know we're gonna have a supercar here one day, but when that day comes, I don't want it to be one that my parents bought for me. I want it to be one that I earned. Most of the experience, the joy that you get from a supercar, in my opinion, is earning it. It's an accolade in itself. You know, yeah, driving supercars is fun. I already do it. It's great. It would be a lot of fun to have one. That's 90% of it is earning it. I want to be able to basically do this entire thing on my own. Now, yes, of course, I do need help from people like you guys to help push the channel or help share it, or people, you know, sponsors to help me out with the pieces and stuff. I just don't want a shortcut, because I know that getting a Lamborghini or getting a supercar, whatever, that your parents mostly bought for you is not the same feeling or level of appreciation that you get from earning it. Because I can guarantee you, driving around this 2014 V6 automatic Mustang with probably no more than 360 horsepower on it is way more satisfying than if my parents just bought me a GT3. Because when I show up, people know all the times that the brakes failed on this thing, or all the 5 transmissions I went through on the last one, car accident that we had on the vlog a couple weeks ago, all the times when just there's these close calls when I can't afford to put a drive shaft on this car, but I need it. I need it to be faster. I need it to be, you know, something that you guys feel like you're a part of. It has to be something that I'm building myself. So that's why I have this car. A day after the last Mustang got totaled, and I was like, what do I do with my life? Obviously, I was gonna try out for that sales job with the exotic car company. The Stradman was like, make a YouTube channel. Like, seriously, you know, he's like, I do it. I started out from basically, you know, square one, and I made it. And I spent the whole, whatever, 6-hour round trip it was to take him up to the Air Force Base, asking him questions about YouTube. we're at Sunset GT. This is gonna be the first official clip of my vlogs because I lost my car last night, running out of savings in Los Angeles, and I'm surrounded by Lamborghinis, and I just finished talking with James Stradman, who said you should start vlogging. So that's what we're gonna do, man. Once he boiled it down, it was simple. Just keep uploading. Keep making videos, allow people to follow your story and connect with that vision that you have of owning a supercar and being a full-time YouTuber, and just be real with them. That's exactly what I did. The very next day was Sunset GT. I had a friend pick me up in his Performante, which to this day is my favorite car of all time. Drove me to Sunset GT, and I just remember looking at all these supercars and these other YouTubers that were there and thinking, I can get to this point. It's going to take a very long time, but that is where that first spark of just hunger hit, and I said, I'm gonna start doing this. I filmed videos, maybe like 10 or so, and then I just kind of gave up because it wasn't connecting with anybody. The videos weren't well done. They were taking, 12, 15 hours to edit. It just didn't seem like something that was gonna work out, and it was really discouraging. So I just kind of gave up. But then fast forward a couple months later, the Stradman posted something online, and I said, well, what if I like wrapped my car purple? And then a bunch of people kind of jumped on board. They were like, we want to see a purple Mustang. And I was like, oh gosh, like I kind of committed myself to this. And then I said, okay, if we get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'll wrap it purple. Well, we didn't get 10,000, but we got some. We got enough for me to think, okay, maybe this YouTube thing could happen. Took the car out January of this year, 2020. I brought it to Summit Auto Lab and I had them wrap it, and then simultaneously I had my 305 Forged guys come in and half sponsor a set of wheels for the car. And then we were, really on the journey to YouTube. That was around the time when somebody told me I had to upload at least 2 to 3 videos per week. It could no longer just be 1 if I wanted to grow, so I cranked up the volume to 2. And then COVID hit, and the views went down and the photo gigs went down, and I was I was hurting for money again. I knew I couldn't do anything to this car, so then that's when I started working with Life Apollos. Yes, I am officially his manager. We're gonna talk more about that in a video to come, but here's the official announcement. Life Apollos picked me up and he said, you need to do 3 videos a week if you want to grow. He gave me a couple of plugs, the YouTube channel gained some real momentum, and we were on our way. There's nothing really super special about it other than the fact that it looks like a cartoon. It's obnoxiously loud. It is a true Roush, which is pretty rare. And then we're gonna twin turbo it. We're gonna be the first ever, to my knowledge, twin turbo Roush RS in the world. I'm going to pull the RS off, I think, and I'm gonna put twin turbo on it when we finally do that. When you see like, oh yeah, it's a V6, there are definitely some people that's gonna bother because it's not like an American muscle car. It's not a V8 engine. But to me, the V6 engine block is just an indicator that that was the car that I could afford at that time. And I built it up slowly with money that I had to scratch and claw for to basically just make it work. Average income per month is somewhere between $1,900 and $2,200. If this wrap was around $3,600, $3,700, the wheels were like $2,500 with the tires and everything else. And the drive shaft was $900, the gears were $750, the tune was $400, the intake was $300. This stuff adds up. Like, I really have to either find other ways of making money, like through paid photo shoots, which are few and far between now with COVID. It has an automatic gear shift because, trust me, if you live in the heart of Hollywood and you have to drive around even to the grocery store or commute or do anything, you'll understand that if you have a manual gearbox and you try to daily it, because I have friends that do that, you're basically riding the clutch all the time. I know it's like more of a driver's car. Yes, I can drive a manual gearbox. It's a lot of fun. I really love the GT4. I think it'd be a great second car. It's not a good daily because this car makes me happy and I absolutely love it. The build is mine, and this YouTube channel, baby, we're going 2020 full time because of you guys. Despite me saying like I do a lot of this alone, we all know that this is a squad effort. That's why my bio says going full-time YouTuber in 2020 and taking you all with me. I want to make sure that when I do finally pull this off, when there is a supercar here, when all the views are pouring in and everything, that I connect with and make sure that I know all the people that were there right now when we had 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers. I read every single comment, so please leave one below. I answer every single DM, so please shoot me a DM on IG. And if you ever are torn between what car that you should buy, and you're thinking, oh, I need the latest and greatest, or I need mom to go get me this or dad to go get me that, at the end of the day, the people that really matter are the ones that are gonna respect you for buying the car you can afford, the car that you earned. And honestly, you'll feel more proud about it anyway. There's certainly nothing wrong with asking for help, but I personally would rather live on the streets than have my parents wire a single dollar to me and me not just earn it myself. We drop videos every single Tuesday, every single Thursday, every single Sunday. I really need your help now because I don't have a day job right now. I'm trying to test out the next, 30 or so days to see how I can pump out some content for you. So make sure you share this video, make sure you drop a comment, click that notification bell, all the good stuff. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We're gonna turbo this thing by Christmas of this year. It scares me to say this. I promise we're gonna do it, okay? I don't know where I'm gonna come up with the money. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. It kind of freaks me out a little bit to say that, but I follow through on everything that I say. So let's twin turbo this by Christmas. Let's do it, because I want this car to be fast. And then everybody that says, oh, it's a V6, it's an automatic. Well, it's twin turbo and it's, I don't know, 600 horsepower. Wonder what we can squeeze out of it. I'll catch you at the next episode. Peace.
I might lie to you just to get through the night with you. Hope that's alright. No, you lie.